Hello, and thank you for contacting Wave Support. From your support request, I see that you're concerned about comfort with this lens, mainly inferiorly. If we look at your topography for a moment, keep in mind since you have a lot of extrapolated data, you're missing some data down here from the eyelid, and you got some lacrimal lake here and some missing data up top. So a lot of the design characteristics of this lens are not exactly perfectly true to the cornea, so you'll have to use a little of your intuition and your clinical judgment to make any subtle adjustments. With that said, if we look at your design actually looks quite nice. Um, Keep in mind, since this is a freeform design, most of these wave lenses will have a tendency to match the cornea very closely and therefore have a tendency to hug. Sometimes in these corneas, you might get a little extra rubbing in these lenses. Compared to the patient's prior lens, I guess the other lens was probably not a free-form back surface lens, so therefore it probably had a little more tear exchange, a little more edge lift on it. So to help resolve that, if we look at your design, overall your design actually looks very nice. It's an axial mode. If you recall, the axial mode tends to look very closely and represent the central part of the topography very nicely. However, sometimes it doesn't show the peripheral uh, relationship as appropriately. One of the easy ways to address that is if you switch over to tangential design by right-clicking that axial icon in the middle, hit tangential. You'll now see this lens as it's viewed from the tangential approach. So in other words, it's looking more closely at the peripheral corneal data and kind of relating with how that axial design may look at that. And if you notice, you've got some downturning areas in this peripheral lens, so it suggests that you might be getting a little bit of what I refer to as the cookie cutter fit here. So we want to improve this alignment here. So I'd probably recommend leave it in tangential, click over to Tools, hit Redesign, Current Settings, and we'll let Wave kind of remap this lens out. And now you've got a lens. You got a couple little bumps up here in the red to blue area in this landing zone, preceding this landing zone. You could micromanage those by clicking on here and manually adjusting each one of these balls, but I would probably do, easier way to do it is just click over here, place a little S factor into the design, hit Tools, Current Settings, redesign this lens. We'll let Wave do its thing. And now once again you have a very nice looking lens and all the meridians. It looks very similar to your original lens, but one thing you may notice, if you look now at these meridians, I'm going to pull up your original design here. You'll see if you look in the vertical meridian, inferiorly you got a base curve about 678, and the new design you're at about 688. So it looks like you've flattened that lens up a little bit, and if you look around each meridian you'll find that this newer lens is a little flatter. I think going to this approach you should be able to better align that lens in the peripheral cornea. Don't forget to leave enough tear exchange, lift up on that pink dot a little bit, make sure you have enough clearance so that way this lens doesn't seal off. I think those couple of tips may help you get a little bit more on track with this patient. Well, I wish you well. Thank you for contacting Wave Support and have a great day.